of Palestinians have been reportedly killed after the Israeli forces shelled an ambulance convoy transferring wounded patients from the Al-Shifa hospital to the Rafah crossing. In Panama, mobilizations continue to reject the mining contract and demand the repeal of the law and its indefinite implementation. In Europe, the toll rises to 16 and 3, and there are more than 60 injured after Storm Ciara hit the continent. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Ana Marrero from the teleSUR headquarters in Caracas, Venezuela. We'll begin with the news. Stay with us. Thousands of Palestinians have been reportedly killed after Israeli forces shelled an ambulance convoy transferring wounded patients from the Al-Shifa hospital to the Rafah crossing. The victims of the attack include Al-Shifa patients, displaced people, women and children. More than 40,000 Palestinians are sheltered in the medical institution after their homes were bombed by the occupation forces. The incident adds one more case of attacks on civilians by Israeli forces, preceded by the recent shelling of the vicinity of the Al-Aqsa hospital southwest of Gaza and the one near the Indonesian hospital in the city of Beit Lahia. Following the attack by the Israeli occupation forces at the entrance of Al-Shifa hospital, the journalist is a member of the Gaza government media office, Haitham Harara, was reportedly killed. The last publication by the Harara read, "We will not get out of this and we will not go away. They will only see resilience and faith. If we have to leave, it will be only to return to our occupied land or to paradise." The constant bombardment by the Israeli army has forced thousands of people to flee their homes and seek shelter in public places under the precarious conditions. For more details, we have a look at what our correspondent in Gaza, Hura Gazi, has to report.
We are in the Nasser hospital in the governorate of Jan Yunis, but this area is a little bit unusual and different from the other areas that we have seen several times before. In this area, Palestinians evacuated in the north and center of the Gaza Strip have proceeded to come to the hospital and have started to make tents to carry out their daily life, but in quite complicated situations. Since the beginning of this war, Israel has prevented the entry of food, the entry of water, the entry of fuel. That is to say, all the basic necessities of life. It is true that last week the Rafah border was opened and several trucks of humanitarian aid were brought in. But this aid does not even cover 5% of the needs of the population of the Gaza Strip. Even these needs are distributed only to UNRWA schools and are distributed to people who are in those schools. But what to do with the people in hospitals like this one? We will now proceed to interview one of the refugees in this hospital so that we can tell us a little bit about how he lives. Hello, how are you? What can you tell us about the life in the tents? How do you get water? How do you get food?
As food, it is very difficult to get it. Institutions come here and do not cover the needs of even 10 or 5% of those who are here. The water is contaminated. The toilets are almost inaccessible. We find it very difficult to get even 100 milliliters of drinking water. The individual cannot consume 300 milliliters of water a day because of the scarcity of water. We can't bathe. Just once a week or 10 days or every 2 weeks, we can't take a bath. As you see, the children are here barefoot. They can't bathe because of their posts. Diseases are starting to appear due to lack of hygiene, such as smallpox, cough, diarrhea. Life is being too hard. It is much more difficult than you can imagine. What we are going through in these camps is very hard and very bitter. All day long they give us one piece of cookie per person. Who's going to feed a cookie to the children? A newborn baby and pregnant woman. How are they going to feed them?
As this citizen has just told us, the situation is quite difficult. He told us that it is true that different organizations such as the UN, UNRWA come to distribute some humanitarian aid, but this aid is not enough. He even told us that sometimes during the day they only give him a little bit of cookies. This is a very tragic situation since a person can only survive by eating cookies. He also informed us that the water is one of the things impossible to get nowadays. They only have the possibility to get water for drinking, even for hygiene or other basic necessities for life such as showering. There is not water available. This is also increasing the number of diseases, the number of pandemic. The population is starting to get sick. They are starting to see the human conditions in which they are living.
The terrible aggression against the people of Palestine continues, this time over the refugee camp. For more details, let's listen to our correspondent in Gaza, Noor Harasan has.
Refugee camps mean that the Palestinian homes, the people residing here, are living so close to each other. There is only narrow alleys and small roads that separates the homes from each other. Right now, we are inside the Al Bureij refugee camp, and this is what it looks like. Total destruction. One Israeli airstrike can actually destroy a whole block. And this is what we are seeing around us, a whole block inside the Al Bureij refugee camp that was actually established in 1949 after the Palestinian Nakba. A total block is erased. Tens of Palestinians were killed in this Israeli aggression on the Al Bureij refugee camp, and this is not the only refugee camp that has been attacked by Israel, but also the Israeli warplanes launched several and intensive strikes on the Al-Shati refugee camp, which is located in western Gaza. The Israeli warplanes also apparently are targeting gatherings like bakeries, people refilling water, people inside markets, busy streets. This is the situation on the ground here in Gaza. Noor Harazin, teleSUR, Gaza.
Let's take a very short break, but remember you can now join us on our TikTok account as teleSUR English, where you'll be able to see news in different formats, news updates and more. Stay tuned for more news. Welcome back to From the South. Thousands of Afghans are trapped on the borderline. In Panama, mobilizations continue to reject the mining contract and demand the repeal of the law and its indefinite implementation. Various social, political, and union organizations took to the streets and closed the country's main highways in rejection of the contract with the Canadian company First Quantum Minerals. In response to this situation, President Laurentino Cortizo submitted the Assembly members to an extraordinary session to debate Bill 1110 that prevents new mining concessions. In El Salvador, a group of lawyers asked the Supreme Electoral Court to reject the registration of President Nayib Bukele as a candidate for re-election. In the document presented by the Movimiento Justicia Plena, they denounced that the registration of the President Nayib Bukele is unconstitutional. They also indicate that the re-elections have been forbidden in the country since the coup d'etat of the dictatorship of Maximiliano Hernández Martínez 80 years ago. In Europe, death toll rises to 16, and there are more than 16 years after Storm Ciara hit the continent. The damage caused by the storm was extended to Italy, Portugal, Spain, and 5 other countries of the continent, causing the fatal accidents, falling trees, and wind gases. European authorities have also issued a red alert in different regions as a preventive measure. Also, as a security measure, civil defense teams closed port and schools, while airlines canceled several flights. Those who like dressing well and trying on either traditional or stylish clothes, the following stories with their book, which is the last one of the first season of Cuba on the Mood. Let's meet the king of Guayaberas.
This November, San Cristobal of Havana village celebrates its 504th anniversary. Hanes' prestigious designer Jordi Leal will present 2 of his latest collections to commemorate such date. Leal exclusively showed teleSUR his series My Havana and Cuba Beautiful Island with fashion models.
A slight representation of my last 3 collections, one entitled My Havana, which are guayaberas illustrated with motifs identifying the capital. We further showcase a representation of Cuba, Beautiful Island, made of guayaberas pictured with motifs distinguishing each province, and we display guayaberas of the Americas proposal. Many people wonder, why did I name them guayaberas of the Americas, if garments are Cuban? And why is so? I think guayabera garments are definitely Cuban, but somehow they started to be Latin American too, as their use has been spread across the region, including the United States.
Leal, alias the King of Guayaberas, assures dressing on such clothes is like wearing Cuba. However, he recognizes that despite guayaberas are national garments, yet Cuban youngsters don't defend them as they should.
We have been losing ground in Cuba. Fortunately, Mexico and Panama defend so much the use of guayaberas. Currently, sometimes people associate them with those countries' culture because of the types of embroidery and weaving. Hence, I think we have been losing ground, but we are still in time to recover it.
That's why Leal is determined to modernize guayaberas, keeping their essence.
We modernize guayaberas, but respecting their significant elements. Let's say we keep the same rows and saddlebags, the upper, lower, front and back yoke, which is where the rows of saddlebags start and end. Let's say we keep the same pockets sometimes, but this one I am wearing has no pockets. Anyway, who says it isn't a guayabera? We changed the idea that guayaberas just ought to have classic color. We designed them with a Chinese color like this one, and it looks very pretty, very attractive. In this case of designs for women, even with necklines, at the beginning, I remember, many designers told me, how did you dare design a guayabera with a neckline in the front, in the back, with flare sleeves? Where did you see that? Well, those are just the most popular designs.
For over 10 years, Leal has been directing a modeling academy with comprehensive preparation for children, adolescents, and youngsters. Now he is working on the Guayaberas G. Leal project, which is in transition to a medium-sized company with a future international scope. And he's writing a book entitled Son of Cuba as well. But so far, what obsessed him is a house Guayabera museum in Havana, Cuba.
Coming up soon, the Guayabera Museum will be opened here in Havana to exhibit designs made to several personalities, as visitors enjoy such collection. In addition, attendees will see original guayaberas illustrated by prominent visual artists. Many people think they are replicas, but no, so this fact adds an additional value to each guayabera.
Jordi Leal has been defending the use of guayaberas for 10 years. The first of these garments he designed was for his daughter's mother when she was pregnant. Then he made one for his baby, which he says caused a sensation. Now, he has over 30 collections with the most ingenious design. Today, his guayaberas are worn by diplomats, officials, presidents, poor glorious, artists, and painters. But his wish is that they are worn by everyone in Cuba.
Almost all guayaberas of these new ambassadors who are being accredited here in Cuba are designed by me. Right now, at the 77th Plus China Summit, which was held here, many presidents, ministers, deputy ministers, in all modesty, when they speak about guayaberas, immediately they think of Jordi Leal. Guayaberas for me are something I can no longer live without them. I can't conceive my life without designing, without working on guayaberas.
So far, the king of Guayabera says his wish is that Cubans acquire a bigger culture of dressing well, and that on Cuban street, the national garment is seen more often with pride, style, and distinction.
Fabiola López, teleSUR, La Habana.
Let's take our last break, but before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel at teleSUR English, where you'll be able to watch on interviews, top stories, special broadcasts, and more. Hit subscribe and inactive the notification bell to stay up to date on the most recent events. One final short break, don't go away. Welcome back. Thousands of Afghans are trapped in a borderline between their country and Pakistan. Humanitarian aid agencies warn of the severity of the crisis. Entire Afghan families are out in the open after Pakistan ordered its security forces to expel or deport their neighbor. The Norwegian Refugee Council and other organizations announced that these are the entire families trying to flee hunger, repression, and violence of the Taliban government. On Friday, textile factories in Bangladesh shut down as severe workers demonstrate to demand better pay. The police informed that in Dhaka, the capital of the nation, and in other industrial cities, many factories face mobilizations and work stoppages. On the other hand, local authorities report clashes between protesters and law enforcement. Russian energy giant Gazprom will continue to increase its cooperation with several Central Asian countries. The new package of coercive measures imposed by Western countries against Russia has served as an incentive for new investment markets. Alexander Miller, Gazprom's general director, informed during his speech at the International Gas Forum in St. Petersburg that Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, and Kyrgyzstan plans to increase cooperations with Moscow in the next 15 days. And we have come to the end of this news brief, but before saying goodbye, we want to thank our Caribbean audience, especially the audience of Trinidad and Tobago, who are pleased to share our newscasts and contribute to provide an alternative news sources, the latest world events, tell you live stories of the people of the South, and break the hegemonic media dominance. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net, and also join us on our socials. We're on Facebook, on X, and on Instagram as well. For teleSUR English and from the South, I'm Ana Marrero. Thank you for watching.